We got a special edition of the Wake and Bake today. We are honoring one of our brothers. You might know him as D2WStew. Stewart Morrison is his Christian name, and we got a lot of smoking going on today. So Wake and Bake 420 crew. Let's show some love to our bro Stew. All right, here we go.
You ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling.
You put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile.
Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
VIP me put in my pocket, it don't make sense, but don't make a profit. It's all a hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money.
Call out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find the things in my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me. No, it ain't over for me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Show me the money!
Okay, let's go smoke that joint.
Are you ready?
Yeah, you think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Now to the Memphis. Break it down.
What up? What up? Had to let that one roll for the homie Stew. Yeah, we got a lot of smoking to do today. For those who don't know, our man D2WStew, he passed away on Sunday. He went at home. He wasn't in the hospital. He was with his friends. He was with his family. And now he's up walking, blazing with all the greats. Who do you think Stu was like running up to first, trying to talk to? Like, what NFL great do you think he was running up to, trying to talk to? Who's a classic cowboy who we think Stu would want to get up there and start talking to right away?
Yeah, I'm not like the greatest cowboy savant, but I will say, like, you know, Stu's old. He was old enough to remember, like, you know, that 80s Cowboys team. But I can't think of any of the motherfuckers that passed. I think they're all still kicking. You know what I mean? A lot of them. You know what I mean?
I guess like hearing Stu talk about football, like, I mean, he was only, not even 10 years older than me. Was he about 8 years older than me, 9 years older than me? Something like that. But man, it's crazy. Like, just, I mean, he was we know he was a fantasy football guy, but man, I mean, he was just a football guy through and through. Like, it was just one of his big loves. And I was watching Mark Holmes' tribute show to him, and his sister was talking to him, and he said, like, right before he passed, he was just spouting out all these numbers, all this analytics stuff, and sister couldn't make anything of it. But
I love it. He really did express to them how much this thing, fantasy football, might have seemed minuscule to them, that, you know what I mean, like his family, and he always expressed how much it meant to him, and like, and the community. And man, like, I'm not even gonna front, I've only known dude for a little over a year, but you know, once I met him, he was in my life. You know what I mean? Because I am invested in this fantasy shit. You know what I mean? Like, it for all y'all that know, all y'all degenerates out there like us, it could be like like talking fantasy is a regular thing. It's like the weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, hey, it's really fantasy outside. You know what I mean? like, you know, people that aren't in the world, but you know, with someone that's in it, like my lady. You know what I mean? It doesn't surprise her no more that like it could be two grown ass men having like an hour plus long conversation on the phone. And it's about fantasy. Just like how women will get on the phone and gossip and shit like that for hours. We doing that same shit, but on fantasy, man. And Stu was one of those guys where, like, you know, in between time when he had time, you know what I mean? He, you know, because, you know, his, you know,
he spent a majority of his time focusing on fantasy football. Like, I know he did a lot of things, and he was always, you know, doing things at the hospital and wound care and all that. And like, he's always fucking with us. Like every time we're doing FNT, you know, like he's watching, maybe we don't know. We start talking about the Cowboys and then boom, he's right in the chat.
Hey, he was always watching even before now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was always, it was kind of a run-on joke. We mentioned the Cowboys, like, all right, Stu's finna pop up now, and he sure would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was great.
Let's show some love to the community. Like you said, Bogard, everyone who's missing Stu right now. Let's run down all these comments. And Antonio, someone who I know, shown love time and time again, you know, to Stu. And he said, RIP Stu, we're all going to miss you in the Hustler community. That's for damn sure.
Man, I want to give a special shout out to Antonio, because I remember when Stu when he had a rough go at it. For those who don't know, like, you know what I mean, when you're lethargic a lot of the times and laid up, you know, you're going to get these bed sores, and they go from stages like, you know, 1 to up to 4. And like, you know, he would have these stage 3 and 4, you know, bed sores and have to go to wound care. And he was in bad shape. He got sick. I think I think he had pneumonia actually, or he got some kind of infection. And Antonio sent him an autographed Michael Parsons helmet, bro. And that shit turned him right back around. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it's you know what I mean? It's just, and that was some of the power of the community. You know what I mean?
He was so fucking stoked. And it was one of those things, it was addressed to Stu, but it didn't have Antonio's name like anywhere on it. So he hits me up and he's like, dude, like, who did this? This is fucking awesome. Like, called me as soon as he got it, as soon as he unboxed it. And super stoked to hear that it was Antonio. And you know,
Antonio, he made the phone call.
Is
what you're saying.
And out of the blue, too. I mean, it's not like Stu asked for anything. He didn't want anything. Antonio was just feeling like paying it forward. So we appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my birthday twin, man.
And Hess was the first one to knock it out in the chat. How about them Cowboys? Anytime someone says that, that's really just a hat tip to Stu now.
Yeah. I mean,
anyways.
That's another one of those run-on jokes, man. You know what you got to follow it up with, though, is it's our year.
It's our year. Yeah, and he never really said it's our year. It was us turning it into the joke about Cowboy fans in general, who every single year they just have to say it's our year, Super Bowl coming, and like, you know, for every non-Cowboy fan, we usually make fun of those type of people. So even Stu coming in and saying that, that's him making fun of Cowboy fans, you know, because he was still a realist, even though he wants the Cowboys to win every single year and know there's a chance. He was always a realist, and he makes fun of those crazy, you know, crazy Cowboy fans.
Hey, but I'll tell you one thing: when in the early on of the dynasty leagues, because we have 14 going strong, and you know, Stu was in a handful of these joints. And you get Stu in that draft, though, he's pulling them Cowboys up.
and sometimes he would purposely not pull the Cowboy up just because he knows that we're going to give him.
We're going to get on him. See, that was in the latter half of the leagues. He started like there was one, or like if you were in or around the same draft spots as him. You know what I mean? Like, there was one time I grabbed Prescott, and he was like, you know, you did that to spite me. And I was like, nah, man, Prescott was the play here. You know what I mean? But he felt the way, because he probably would have been the one to pull the trigger. But it was like the back of the first round, which, you know, last year Dak wasn't getting out of the top 6. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so it was, it's just a little. That's what was so cool about Stu is because, like, man, he wasn't no punk. He's gonna throw shots too. You know what I mean? Like and that's what fantasy was supposed to be about. It's like the camaraderie also comes from the shit talk. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I know everyone watching here probably knows Stu's story, which is just fucking insane. I mean, imagine being 27, going to the bathroom, and before you're done going to the bathroom, you're paralyzed from the chest down. You know, like he had everything working against him as far as like mentally, like someone who could give up. And I mean, he fought for a really long time. And just like Bogard said, he's always clapping back. Like he was never someone who was going to take your shit talk.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna clap back at you.
Real talk. Like and when he wouldn't even be on stream with us to defend himself, he'll drop a big ass paragraph in that chat. And he'll text me too. Read that shit. He'll text me, pull up that shit and read that motherfucker.
I know, and sometimes like Stu is always someone who is supporting monetarily, like I remember a lot of people, but if there's someone throwing, super chats on a regular basis, like you just remember that person. And he was one of those people who was always showing love, like that. And it's not like he had the money to be throwing around like that either. So, I mean, after finding out, more about him, it just made me appreciate every super chat even more.
And then even getting to the point where majority of his life, he was helping get money for other individuals that had these ailments and these what do they call them? Paralysis. And you know what I mean? Like he was just a selfless dude. You know what I'm saying? And like it was crazy because when 2019 or when COVID came around, he told me how hard it hit him because he couldn't do the charitable work because now they weren't allowing events. They weren't allowing,
and that's how he was getting a lot of his, charity work going. I mean, he used to have golf tournaments. That's what he said was one of his like favorite things to put on was a dope golf tournament for the Dream to Walk.
Yeah, man. Just what's crazy is even the backstory before his his unfortunate what do we call it when he couldn't walk anymore, right? Before all that, like he was a bar owner. Him and his buddies, they all owned a bar together. He was, imagine being in your mid-20s and you own a bar. Like in my early 20s, we lived in the bars and the clubs. You know what I mean? Like we were just four days a week before we had kids for real. We were in the club all day, every day. Day parties, fucking Sundays was reggae night. So, you know what I mean? Mondays we at the the woo wop, you know what I'm saying? Tuesdays, like $2 Tuesdays somewhere, like Wednesdays was college Fridays, you know what I'm saying? It was just it was crazy. Like, you know what I mean? And he had a spot that was popping, you know what I mean? And like, he immediately lost all of that. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing too, man. Like, people people show their true colors when you're really down for the count. And in his case, when he was really down for the count. You know what I mean? And everybody around him just kind of dipped on him. You know what I mean? So that's why he really cherished the fantasy community too, because there was no prejudice or like
I think that was honestly, I think like, who knows, but I think when he was, when he was watching our videos, when we're talking in leagues, when we're doing drafts, I mean, he's never going to forget the fact that he's paralyzed, but definitely I think all this stuff that we were doing definitely made him take his mind off shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is just, it's a form of battle where the playing field is even killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, matter of fact, it's even just your sharpness, which gives you any type of edge. You know what I mean? And he was sharp. Like, you know what I mean? He was in his ways in certain things. Like I couldn't convince him, like not to take Zeke here. Like, in one of those, there was a redraft league. It was me and him. We were drafting for Mark Holmes. Shout out to Mark to Jobu Sports. And you know, and he's a Cowboy fan too. So every time he'd be like, you know what? I think we pull up CD Lamb here. It's like the back of the second round. You know what I mean? I'm like, don't do this. I'm like, let's not do this right now. And then they double back. Or no, I think they already had Zeke too in the first round. You know what I mean? Then double it back.
You knew there was no way you were getting Parsons. If you're in the league with Stu, unless you wanted to pick him up in your first round, forget it. You're not getting him. You're not getting him.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Stu's picking him up probably round 2.
he taking him over like TJ Watt and stuff like, because normally people would have the recency bias and chase that shit. You know what I mean? But like he's like, nah, I'm sticking with my boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
David on Stu in a draft, right? To send that GIF after every pick, right?
Yeah.
And David P, I like it. He said, any money I win in the Hustler Leagues this year will be donated to the family or wherever they would like it to go. Yeah, we don't know too much news about like if Dream to Walk is gonna like continue, you know, after him. I mean, at least as far as we've heard, it might still be a little bit in limbo. They're gonna need someone to take over it, is really what it is, because I don't think anyone in his family is gonna like take that on necessarily. He was taking on a lot with everything that they were doing. And he was the one spearheading all of it.
That could be a good segue, though, just to remind everybody about the money that he's raising for his mom's house and the crew that's going over there. I think Monday to donate their time to go ahead and use that, right? Use those funds to go ahead and get supplies, right?
Yeah. So they got a bunch of people. Mark Holmes for Joe Boo Sports Report. He's got a bunch of people who are donating the time, the labor, pretty much everything on this GoFundMe. I've shared. I'm looking for the link right now, but I've shared it on social media a bunch. 100% of the GoFundMe is going towards materials to fix up his mama's house. And that was Stu's like dying wish. Like when Mark originally was putting together the GoFundMe, it was going to be to get Stu to, I believe, Austin. He was going to be going to a different facility, and it's hours.
It was in Houston.
In Houston, okay. Still hours and hours away, you know, from where he is. So Mark wanted to, get a GoFundMe together, get some money together for him, for the travels and everything. Make sure he gets down there easily. And Stu, being the selfless guy that he is, was like, no, he was like, we'll figure out getting down there. He was like, but if you want to do a GoFundMe, let's get some money together and fix up my mom's house.
Yeah.
That was one of those things he really wished that he could have helped more with, is money, bringing in money to where his mom was taken care of, and her stuff, you know, because she's been living in that house for, I mean, I don't even know how long.
Yeah, his mom's, I think his mom's, I think, was 86. You know what I mean? And
David P says, I'm a plumber. Where's his mom's house? In Plano. So they're actually, it's this week. People are showing up Saturday. Mark is supposed to be showing up Sunday, and it's going to be like a couple days of them just kind of fixing up her house. I mean, I have his exact address. I got his family's number so you can get in contact with them. But I know it's this weekend that they're all going to be going there and putting in a bunch of work for mom. And I know that, let me pull it up here. I shared the GoFundMe link in the chat. Let me see how much they've actually raised so far. $8,300. They have the goal on here of 10,000. Originally the goal was 5,000, and just crushed that $5,000 mark. And the more they get, the more they're going to be able to fix on his mom's house. So anything, doesn't matter. $5, $10. Everything's good.
And can you send me that link directly?
Yeah, I'll text it to you right now.
It just shows what kind of impact Stu had, right, on everybody. Man, unreal.
And I wasn't able to meet him in person. I mean, I was going out there, I mean, literally on Thursday, you know, and he wasn't able to hold on until then. There's not too many people in the community that have really met him in person. I mean, even Mark Holmes, they've never met in person. This was going to be the first time that they were actually going to meet in person. And
word! I thought they had met.
They'd never met before, and But that's the kind of impact that Stu has. Like everybody just kind of remembers him. He's always in the chat, always talking some shit, and always dropping knowledge on fantasy football. Like that's the thing that's crazy. Like I feel like these leagues that I'm putting together, these hustler leagues, it's like crazy all-star leagues, you know, where it's like people coming around from like all over the world to get into these leagues. And when it comes to like everyone playing in their home leagues or playing in the leagues that they've been playing in forever, that we're usually the people that are dominating. And that was Stu as well. Like, I mean, to the Jobu sports world and to his like friends that he knew from fantasy football or people who joined leagues with him because of the charity that he was in.
That motherfucker knocked me out the playoffs.
Stu was dominating. Lee said that too. Lee went back and looked.
Knocked me out the playoffs in the Dream to Walk League. I was like a top 2 seed all year. And then he dubs me in.
Lee went back and looked at the league that we played in together, and Stu knocked him out of the playoffs. So, I mean, it's just Stu was a savage. Like, you know, like he was really good when it comes to football knowledge, to playing fantasy football. He's been playing forever, and man, he will be missed. Let me read some more of these comments here because we started talking. I don't want to leave anyone's comments unread. And let's see. Ron, what up, bro? He said, let's remember Stu. Let's smoke up heavy for him. Right. Smoke it up heavy. Antonio said, it's the Mark Holmes show. I loved it. I got to hear Stu's voice one last time. Yeah. And if anyone wants, you could literally just search Mark Holmes. And if you look at his videos, it'll say, what was it? Last words from, I think it just says last words from our friend Stewart. But if anyone wants to see the video, just let me know. I can get you the link so you can check it out. And TJ said, RIP Stu, miss you, bud. Watch the Mark Holmes show. And it was painful to hear how much pain he was in. And I mean, he wanted to FaceTime, you know, in the end, like he wanted to see people's faces. He wanted the connection. And I mean, I was FaceTiming him, I mean, damn near every day, kind of until the end. And you could just tell he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, man, it was rough because I talked to him Wednesday and then Thursday. Then I talked to him Saturday and he looked completely different. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was crazy because it was like he left us on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, you know what I mean? It's textbook. You know what I mean? When they get to that stage, like I've seen relatives like that, you know what I mean? Where it's like they get to that point and you're like, man, they're about to go soon, you know. And then that's when they start making the phone calls, like, because even when I FaceTime him on Saturday, you know, I met a couple of his folks that was there, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so it was dope that he had a ton of love showing up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was one thing that was good. I mean, there's a lot of people in our community, and well, I mean, in a lot of communities, but especially in ours, who FaceTime him, who called him, you know, and I know every single call meant something to him. Like, I'm glad he got everyone showing him love right at the end, because if you're gonna go, that's the only way to go out, knowing that everybody around you is, you know, everybody around you loves you. Let's see, and TJ said down there, Stu, how about them Cowboys? Anthony, what up, bro? He said, RIP Stu. He said, we better watch out for them Cowboys this year. I know it's gonna be Stu's gonna be like the 12th man, like out there for real. Like if any of you guys have seen like that movie, The Sixth Man.
Yeah, Marlon Wayans.
Yeah, Marlon Wayans, and in the movie, his brother passes away and comes back, and I just feel like that's gonna be Stu, like out there, you know, watching every game on the field somehow, somewhere, getting his best view, and tripping someone when they're like running up the sideline. Like if we ever see someone trip like randomly on the Cowboys sideline, you know, like gonna break a big one, they just randomly trip. Like we know that's
funny. We're gonna know it's Stu.
If Danny Pesos, if he just comes out for a long one, somehow breaks one, and he just randomly trips again, that's Stu.
Hey, you know what's crazy is like it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks right now, because when I was talking to him, on Saturday, he wanted to make sure he was like, I don't know how many leagues I'm not in with you, but he was like, I want you to have at least one of my teams. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because that fantasy meant so much to him. This is like passing down, you know,
This is
like
more important. His fantasy teams are more important than his possessions.
You feel me? Like, and I'm just like, you know, and he says to me, he said, because this is what's sad too, is I'll be like, man, how you doing, bro? And he'd be like, I'm dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, and it hits me hard because it's like, I'm it's almost like, don't patronize me, Bogey. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Stu's so real. You know what I mean? Like,
because like, what do you say?
He was like, listen, he's like, you know, we're going to win those leagues. And, you know, he's like, I'm going to be watching down. You know what I mean? And like, and you know me, I'm like, shit, man. It's an honor, bro. You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna go back up and read everyone else's comments, but Michael just popped in the chat. He said, I'm his brother-in-law, and thank you everyone for the love and condolences. It's heartwarming to know how many people he touched out there. He was a huge part of this community.
Yeah, man. Stu's awesome, man. Like you know, and for everybody that knows Mike, if you're still out there watching, I'm like a wannabe comedian. Right, so like I'm about to say what we call around here a bogey joke, which is usually a bad joke. But our man Stu, he really stood for something. You know what I mean? Real talk. See that how it's like it's a great joke, but it's bad too at the same time. Because I love the guy. He really stood for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's freaking awesome. And I mean, it was tough having to talk to him about that. Like he gave me, you know, a pretty short list of guys who he wants to take over his teams. He has, I believe it's 4 teams, and I mean they're all paid for and everything. Like just leave it up to Stu. You know, he doesn't leave it to where anyone's got to pay for anything like that. And you know, and he's like, yeah, don't charge anybody. I want him just taking over my team. You know, and he gave me a short list, and both of you guys were on that short list, and Lee was on that list as well. And so yeah, we'll be talking to you guys real soon about getting you guys to take over his team and stuff. But yeah, I mean,
you know what, man? If and when I win that league, you know what I mean? We got to figure out where we're gonna route this loot. You know what I mean? We're gonna make sure we route that winner's purse to, you know what I mean, wherever, you know, whatever kind of if the dream to walk's still going, or you know, we got to make sure we route that right. You know what I mean?
Yep. And Mike said his sister, father, and stepfather, mother, all watching right now. We appreciate you guys, and we're all thinking about you. And Stu is an amazing person. I knew him 3 years, and I can say that he supported me more than 99% of my friends and family, you know, just like offline, you know, just everything like that. So Stu's just as much of my family as like my family, you know, like that's how I feel.
Right? Just a cat that always be like I knew Stu's schedule, you know what I mean? Because like we're always on this fantasy shit 24/7. So it's like if we're talking, if we're having trade talks, you know what I mean? I know Stu's schedule. That's how much we talked. Where he'd be like, all right, I'm about to go to wound clinic. So he'd be like, okay, I already knew he's about to be occupied for several hours. You know what I mean? But he's thinking about it. You know what I mean?
And he knew our schedule too. He'd call me so many times. He's like, all right, I got a question. You know, I know you guys are going to start the show real soon. So I had to call you before you guys got on.
And, because he got that, he had that exclusive too, right? It's kind of, that's what's dope is that he wasn't just somebody in the chat. You know what I mean? Like he was, man, he was one of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out here in the matrix. You know what I'm saying?
And Anthony said he gave us a raw take on how it feels to have cancer. And I mean, Hess, I mean, you're someone who's been through the whole, like, I mean, I don't even know how to say it, but just going through cancer and, you know, dominating it. I mean, Stu had a rare form of cancer, and I mean, everything was working against him kind of already. But I mean, what's your, I mean, you've known Stu for, I mean, a couple years, and you guys have really just been in the chat. But I mean, what's some of your thoughts on Stu and just, you know, the stage is yours while I smoke this bowl.
Stu was literally the first person in the hustler community that welcomed me. And I look back and I went back a couple years, checked it out, because I was thinking that it was Stu, and 100% it was Stu. And then when we did that interview for the 420 crew, sure enough, first person in the chat, Stew, right? Always there. Stew and I connected on the cannabis, right? He let me know that, since he was 16, right? He's been a big proponent of cannabis, and man, it was such an important part of his life. And when we found out, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, right, that it was sarcoma. That's when he and I connected on that level as well. As you mentioned, I had synovial sarcoma myself twice, and it's a pediatric cancer. It usually attacks the body of younger kids. So he and I were both sort of laughing about that, how we got hit when we were a little bit older, but just kind of talking about different things about how we could laugh, how different things like watching football and medicating with cannabis, and what kind of cannabis would help, and different types of methods. And he was just so curious. He was just so genuine, and just wanted to live life, and I spoke with him as well that day before he passed, and we laughed about how much we both look like. I said we could be cousins. He was cracking up, and I said, I may need to get that tab right now, but he's a hell of a guy. Unfortunately, like many, he and I never got to meet in person. So it was real special to be able to FaceTime and to have one last sesh with Stu. In fact, there was a care package that he knew it. I went through everything inside the care package with him, and he knew it was on his. It was going out. It was the weekend, so you couldn't send anything over the weekend, but it was going to go out right after the weekend. And I told him that, and he knew it was coming. And in that package was this Heisman pre-roll, and he got so excited. He said, "From Ricky?" He said, "That's." I said, "Yeah, this is from Ricky." This wasn't from the store, so he was so excited. And, I know he's looking down right now and finally getting to smoke like he wants again, and just to not be in pain, because I know how that is, and it's not any fun. And I'm just glad that, we all got to meet him in this life. And I know that, when we all, everybody's got an expiration date, right? And so I know that when it's our time, he'll welcome us as well with open arms, just like he did in the chat.
That's for damn sure. Let me read out some more comments here. We got Jerry in the chat saying R.I.P. Stu. Yeah, I know Jerry's in a handful of Hustler leagues. I'm not 100% if he's actually in a league with Stu or not, but everyone knows Stu from the chat. And David P said Stu definitely ran up to Tom Landry. There we go. I bet.
There it is.
For sure.
There it is. There's the legend that he would want to meet.
Right away.
Tom Landry would be wearing a suit too with the fedora.
The hat? Oh, yeah.
Hey, Tom Landry was kind of fly for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened to that? The motherfuckers he was wearing a business suit, coaching the game. Hey,
I know Belichick changed it all. Now everyone wants to be like Belichick, just trying to be, casual with it and stuff.
Dressed like Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Hey, but I mean, if there's a way to go to work, it's like Adam Sandler. Basketball shorts, t-shirt, like I remember when I was working at for this marketing company, we did sales and it was all customer service. Like, no customers ever
no
came
human
in.
contact.
No human contact. And so it got to the point where like I was just only wanted to wear basketball shorts and a t-shirt, and I just started doing it. And
Nice.
no one said anything. There'd be random, like we'd be at a meeting, and there'd be the whole company meeting, and there'd randomly be some talk about, yeah, we know some of you guys want to wear basketball shorts and stuff like that, but it was only me. I was the only one who ever wore it.
Oh, that's funny.
And Life in Sports Talk with Jake. What up, homie? He said, damn, RIP Stew, shit breaks my heart, bro. Yeah, definitely too young. Definitely too young to go. And let's see. Vanessa coming in the chat. Stu taking charge from the other side, 100%. Rest in paradise, Stu. And Vanessa's never talked to Stu or anything, but she's walked in on plenty of phone calls and FaceTimes that me and Stu were having. TD said 100% D2WStew, and TD, I know it meant the world when you called him or FaceTimed him. So that was really good, bro. I know he was happy to hear you.
Yeah, he really did fuck with TD for real though. And they got that Cowboys thing going on over there.
Any Cowboy fan like Stu automatically start wanting to start
I like that
elbows. And Second Take Extra, what up, bro?
What up, Second Take?
Yeah, and Lee, what up, bro? He said Stu hands down has the biggest heart. He's like a brother. We spoke on Sleeper Daily, and he had an imprint on my life in 2 short years, and he took life so selflessly, because it says selfishly, but took life so selflessly and thought of others first besides himself. Yeah, definitely. Taco in the
100%.
building. What up, bro?
Which makes sense, by the way, right? That he had a bar, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like, hey, come here, everybody, have a drink.
That's the
Come to my spot.
perfect occupation.
Yeah,
come to my spot. Let me serve you. Let me make sure you get some good times in your life and some good drinks.
and because like all our conversations, the cool ones are like are off the cuff. You know what I mean? And with Stu, everything was off the cuff. So I would always ask him about those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was like, because he had so many stories, and he said like he would kick it in the front of the bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's like I did everything. He's like, I'm a hostess. He's like, if I have to be, I'm a bouncer. You know what I mean?
We talked about how much of a social I mean, a lot of people are social people. He had a bar. He's socializing with, dozens and hundreds, of people a night, and, maybe thousands of people over a course of a week or two. And that was his element. Like, he liked being around people. He liked talking football. He liked sharing stories and stuff. And yeah, just imagine that, all of that being taken away to where you can't move. And you can't move easily. And I'm really glad that he found us. I mean, he found me. I want to go back and I'm going to go back and try to find the very first video that he found me. But it was within the first month or two that I was doing this, on a regular basis.
Dang, that would be dope. Because there's so much content to like. Oh, you have to diagnose the time, right?
Would be back in 2020. That's what I'd know. I don't know if he found me in the preseason. I feel like it was somewhere in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season.
You might be able to have some memories or comments that go back on the Facebook too, because immediately he'd probably follow you if he found you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I know he got into the Facebook group right away. He found me on YouTube first. I mean, he's more of a YouTube guy. He likes the videos. Because for him it was like being in the room with you, at least.
Hell yeah.
As much as he could be, being able to get his chat read, and feel like he's conversing, with someone.
Mm-hmm.
He loved it.
Yeah, that shit was dope though, because he'll keep that thing going, even especially like when he would just be watching and then pop up and say some shit. It'd be like, oh, he finally didn't agree with that. He was watching the whole time. You heard me say some shit. Like, hold on, Bogey. What'd you say about the Cowboys? Yeah, that shit was the shit, man. I'm gonna miss you, Stu.
He was always watching. Like, that's the crazy thing, he wasn't always commenting, especially like a lot of times he said he was watching right before he was about to go walk the dog or things like that. And so everything was just on a schedule, with him, and we were a part of his life schedule.
Yeah, and that was dope, man. He was part of our lives just as much as we was part of his. I love that. That's fucking awesome.
Because we weren't just talking in leagues. We weren't just talking on YouTube. I mean, he'd be calling us. He'd be texting us. You guys hear me like on the live streams. I'm like, Stu, don't type a fucking paragraph. He'd do it on purpose, and he would text me a fat ass paragraph.
Say, read it.
And I'd be like, Stu, I'm not reading this shit. Just call me.
You're like, read that shit. I love you, Stu. I'm glad I got to tell. I'm glad I got to tell that man I love him too, man, because that was the last thing before we hung up on the FaceTime. You know what I mean? And trying to be the ultra optimist. You know what I mean? I was hoping that wasn't the last time I was going to talk to him. You know what I mean? But he told me, this is probably the last time I'm going to talk to him, and that kind of hit me. And you know what I mean? I tried to be like, nah, man, I'm gonna hit you tomorrow, man. Love you, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? That was. And then he went, you know what I mean? He knew it, and
because none of us were able to get a hold of him on Sunday. I mean, I mean, damn near all of us talked to him on. I mean, I know all three of us specifically talked to him on Saturday, and I know a bunch of people in the chat. Even if it was just text, because I mean, there were some people who tried to hit him up a little later, and he was just kind of tired. And he texted, or maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was Michael, texting back for Stu, but just letting people know to FaceTime early. And we all tried to get it in on Sunday, and he just wasn't answering. And then his sister finally broke the news, but at least he was at home. He's at home with his family. He was able to smoke on his way out. Like, he wasn't able to smoke in the hospital for shit. I mean, how long was he there? Like 2 months? Like, that was one of the things that he hated the most. And someone got him one of those vaporizers where you can put the flower inside of it, the little handheld ones. And every time we were talking at the end, I mean, he was puffing. We were having our smoke sessions, all the way until the end. So at least he got to go in his own element and, not just hooked up to a bunch of tubes around a bunch of strangers. Because if he was going to go anyways, at least let him go in his sanctuary. And Ron said he would even be happy for me when the Eagles did well, and we know he hated the Eagles. Like the friend connections meant more than hating the Eagles.
I mean, shit, I'm a Niner fan. He'd be like, you're okay for a Niner fan. hey, what was dope is even when he take me on the Jobu Sports show, because he was like, listen, you're good at fantasy. And like, I know it'll just bother, it'll bug Mark. I'm like, oh, so you want me to go there and just troll? You know what I mean? Like, because they brought me back on like a half dozen times. You know what I mean? Like, I had a scheduled appearance on there. You know what I mean? And I would just wear I'd wear the catch shirt. You know what I mean? Same for all the Niners and Cowboy fans out there. Y'all know the catch. You know what I mean? I have a shirt of that motherfucker. I have a few of those shirts actually, because they were giving it away at a fucking training camp when I used to go to training camp every year, and they're just giving them away. I was like, I'll take all of them.
Yeah, give me 10 of them.
I'm just like that. You know what I mean? He was like, how many? I was like, how many can I get? He's like, how many you want? I was like, give me all of them. He had like a stack. I just took the stack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ain't nobody was taking them. I was like, fuck it. So like, anyways, I wore that shit every time. That shit was awesome. You know what I mean? Because he would be like, he's all right. It was almost like just bringing me on, because it's really, he respected the isms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the biggest cowboy channels. You know what I mean? On YouTube.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? And the chat will be on fire when I be on there. They're like, what in tarnation?
What the hell is this guy doing there? Bringing the enemy into the building.
It's like, this is the Jobu Sports Network. God damn it.
Yeah, and everything with Stu, I mean, it's crazy because it transcended fantasy football to something bigger. I mean, the reason why Bogard connected with Stu in the beginning is because he knew that I knew someone who had a foundation.
A charity.
And you get into a league and you're like, I don't want to, it's like everyone's doing the big cookie cutter ones. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with super big charities, but I think that me and Bogard were on the same page with, like, if we can move the needle for a charity which these guys aren't moving the needle on Toys for Tots or, like any of those super, super, super huge ones. That's not money that's moving the needle. But the money that you would have won for that league, I know moved the needle. And we started the Dream to Walk, league last year, and we raised over $1,000, for the Dream to Walk. And I know he was so stoked on that because I think he only had 8,000 come in like that year or something. And so we brought in more than 10%, that his foundation actually brought in for the year. And I know that meant a lot to him. And playing in the league with Schmitty, Adam Rank, Marcus Grant, James Coe. I mean,
Bogard Scott free.
No, you don't count, man.
You don't want to put my name.
I'm fucking with you. You already started the Dynasty 7 before that, so you guys are.
Yeah, I know. I'm fucking with you.
You'd already connected before, but I mean, he was just like he was at a loss for words so many times, and anytime we posted about the league, he was always retweeting it and saying how grateful he was that I put the league together for him. And the Dream to Walk Foundation League is still continuing, no matter what. And it's going to be a bunch of us, in a league to honor Stew, and that shit's going to go for a lot of years. And it's going to be one of the ways that we can honor him. And if the Dream to Walk Foundation's still going, just like we did last year, 100% of the money that comes in is going to go.
And 100%, it will not be on NFL Network.
It definitely will not be.
Now, you know what's so here quick, my part of that story was, when Hustler, he wanted me to join this league, and it was Stu, who I was already familiar with just from the chat. You know what I mean? I didn't know the extent that you were working with him. And then once you started elaborating, you know what I mean? And then I got to check his story out, because it was all on the YouTube, everything. I was like, yo, I need to, I want to represent this dude's shit. You know what I mean? And so I asked you to ask him for me, because I knew I can get a more personable approach. Like, St. Jude's Hospital, and every charity is a great charity. I'll just say that. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? I had a chance to work with someone who I felt like I was getting to know just through this fantasy shit already. You know what I mean? Because he was always being in the chat. You know what I mean? But as soon as I got in the leagues with him too, then it was a wrap. You know what I mean? Because that all happened like simultaneously. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, all right. Because even Stu is the one that, remember, I kept curving every dynasty league. Stu was like, join this one. Nah. I was like, I got too many dynasty leagues. Then it comes to the 7, and then you asked me, you're like, listen, Stu really watching this one. I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I'm glad I did, because then I told Stu, I was like, see what you did to me? Because now I'm in 5 of those motherfuckers. I told Stu, I was like, this is what I was trying to, I know how I am, Stu.
He's trying to not open Pandora's box.
And I don't like it, though, because Stu, that's what I really wanted to do anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Noreen Rivera said, thank you for honoring Stewart. He and his family are truly amazing. Yeah, we know, and never met anyone in person, only over the phone, and everyone's been super nice, and everyone was taking care of Stu, and wanted to be around him and everything. Like he didn't go alone, and that's a good feeling for, I know, at least all of us on this side, knowing that he was amongst family, the entire time. And I hope everyone realizes how many people he touched over here, because none of us have met him, and we all have stories for days about.
Hey, we've never met in the physical realm.
We never met in person, but like I said earlier, he's more of my family than a lot. He's more of my family than a lot of my actual family members. So that's how much Stu means.
You know what's crazy is that when my girl, one thing that my girl said, because I'll always be, you know what I'm saying, like, especially with Stu, he's a FaceTiming motherfucker, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he wants that face-to-face connection.
My girl, she was like, it's crazy because like all your fantasy community, you talk to them around the clock. And I think about it, I'm like, all right, I've known Stu for like, damn, when did I meet Stu? Was that like June, last May?
Yeah,
so like, I know it's a little over a year, but I talked to him damn near every other day, if not every day in some form through text. You know what I mean? Or it's crazy. Like he's just been in my life. You know what I mean? Anything cowboy, I could talk any kind of football, like, right? So like he'll talk to me about Cowboys, and he says he's talked to me more sensible about Cowboys than like some others in the other communities he's a part of, because he's in every and like that's how he found the Jobu Sports show, right? He's just everything Cowboys, but he told me, he's like, they're all not realistic. Like I could talk to him on some Cowboy shit that's for real, you know what I mean? Because the same way I would talk my Niners, you know what I mean? I'm gonna speak for real, you know what I mean?
Yep. And Antonio said, I'm so grateful to have been invited to the Dream to Walk League. That was an invite only league. Like that wasn't one that anybody really had a chance to join. Actually, I guess there was one person who had a chance to join when there was like one last spot. And it was like James Coe came on the show, and there was a guy in the chat, Clark, who just heard about it. And
fuck that guy Clark. I think he beat me. In the season. He cost me a bye week, I think. Fuck that. Yeah. Fuck, shout out to Clark.
It was right at the end. I remember that. And and so he's chiming in the chat, and then I was just in the chat, on James Coe's. And Clark was like, what's that charity league that you guys have going again? I want to get in it. And then he hits me up on Twitter, and I tell him it's a $200 buy-in on it. And 100% is going to charity. And he was like, and then he asked me like what the charity was about. And then I sent him the video that Stu sent me, that kind of explained. He made a little video and had me put it, wanted me to edit it a little bit. And that was how I could help him talk about the charity and get it out to a few people. Clark sees that 3-minute video and is like, I'm in right away. Where do I send this money? Like right away, just no questions asked. Like, obviously it's cool to be in the league with James Coe, and I know it's someone he really fucks with, but it was like he wanted to know about the charity before he got in, and heard about it, and just boom, not even a question.
Yeah, man, shout out to Stu, man. He it is kind of a trip, because I'm living in my world, right? And like I talk to him all the goddamn time. Just think about it, man. Like, damn, I talk to Stu all the time.
Yeah,
it's a trip. Like,
so much that if you didn't answer when he called, he would like call you like 10 times in a row. I would like, pick up the phone, motherfucker. I got something to tell you. It's really important.
Oh shit, for real.
Because he did that to me a couple times too.
Yeah.
And just different times I'm doing something like, Stu, where's the fire, bro? Where's the fire? And he's like, I got the fire. Pick up your phone.
Oh, that's funny.
Stu's the man. And Devin, what up, bro? And he said Stu was in several other chats of all kinds of fantasy pages. Always cool and a huge Cowboys fan. Yep, we said it a little bit earlier, bro. Anytime someone says, how about them Cowboys? To me, that's just a hat tip to Stu.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking.
That's what it's going to be from here on out. I love it too, because like, you know what I mean? That's it's just going to be a constant reminder. It's going to make me smile. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So every time I'm going to hat tip it. Every time someone says, how about them Cowboys? And everyone's going to know that that's for Stu. I'm not going to say it every time, but when you see the hat nod, and you're going to know that it's for Stu.
And he told me thing is bad when Dak takes him to the Super Bowl, because it's going to happen now, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And again, that's Stu.
And it's funny. I was listening to Stu.
I'll be happy for you, Stu, if the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl. But I also
because remember, in those movies, okay, we could go to all those movies. The Sixth Man, Angels in the Outfield. There's always a rule about championship games. Like, we can help you the entire time, but the championships have to be won alone. So Stu won't be able to help during the Super Bowl. He'll only be able to watch as a spectator.
Or is it?
And Anthony says, how about them Cowboys? How about them Stu boys? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. We should start that.
And Anthony said, this is the reason why I like this community you put together, Hess. Great peeps. Hell yeah, man. And Hess, when we were talking about it a few days ago, he's like, it's more like a family, than just like a regular community. And man, like I said, Stu was more my family than a lot of like my family members are. So that's definitely true.
And that's so real.
David P, you're the man with the super chat, bro. I'm getting you those extra entries into the signed Ricky Williams jersey giveaway.
It is crazy too because, like, you know what I mean? Like quarantine and then exploring the digital realms and the matrix and shit like that, and then finding like actual genuine people. It's a rarity, but like, you know, this community, we're kind of like a magnet. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a prerequisite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, you know, genuine motherfuckers.
Yeah. Because we see some of these communities, it's like they follow trolls because they are trolls themselves. And I guess those kind of people always really get excluded.
And then
I'm even adding, okay, so I'm adding some I'm adding David P's super chats in here. And who's the person who donated right before?
And I'll be right back.
Of course it's Stu. Stu put in extra money to get extra entries because he wanted this signed Ricky Williams jersey. And I mean, that's just how Stu was. Like, I mean, he's there's only been going on. I mean, I've been only talking about this for like a month. And so even when Stu's in the hospital, you know, he's still doing things to support. So his name's still going to be in here, and you know, we're not taking anything away. And if Stu wins, we're going to end up. I mean, I don't even know if his family like would want anything like that right now, because I think they're going to be giving stuff like that away. I mean, Stu even told me that he wanted to give me something of his personally that I can put like in the background, you know, on my wall. And so after things calm down a little bit, I'm going to ask his sister if Stu, because she was on the phone, like she was like right behind him, like holding the phone when he told me that. So I want to know if he actually like said something specific. But yeah, I got to get something, you know, from his wall to throw on the back wall. And every time we look at it, we're going to know it was, we're going to see Stu right behind us on every single show. And Antonio, you the man, bro, with the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Got you those extra entries. And Ron popping in. Uh-oh. He's got some internet issues, though. All right. Well, Ron will be out here soon. Oh, here we go. There he is. What up, bro?
What's going on?
What up, Ron?
Smoking. Yeah, what do I got right here? I'm smoking on now the Chauffeur, 27% THC from Session Supply.
Session Supply, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Looks fire.
Right. I'll go there with you.
Yeah. So, Ron, you got the stage. Why don't you share some thoughts about Stu while we smoke these bowls? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, well, one, you know, if you look on his Facebook page, he has like Eagles suck and like, you know, like all this stuff. But anytime, you know, Eagles got someone or did something, he would always like be like, oh, you see that? But you know, one of the things that drew me to this channel over other channels, because I watched a bunch of different channels, was like the interaction of the chat. Versus, you know, like where you go there and you can actually, like, you say something, it's not just trolls, like people are responding directly to what you're saying and stuff. And, you know, when you go into a chat and like immediately someone's like, oh, it's good to see you, you know, which is like common thing that people do here. Like when we first come in, everyone says hi to everyone. But Stu was like the first person that did that with me before I was like a regular. Like he noticed that I would come back because I would just like drop in and like leave a couple comments and then like pop back out. Like that was just like how I did things. Like I would jump around to a bunch of different things. And as soon as I said something, he would say like hi or which makes you, that kind of shit makes you come back to a place because you're like, oh, I'll go say hi to Stu. You know, like, and then more and more I stayed longer because people would actually like talk, not just a lot of times you go into the chat and people are just like firing questions and like they're not even talking. Like it's cool to ask questions, obviously, but like a lot of times the chat is going back and forth too, you know. But some people are just like all they care about is like their question. They'll just keep asking, you know. But he was like someone who stopped and like wanted to get to know you, even though it was like a chat where like a lot of people aren't even using their real name and there's no tone, you know, but he wanted to actually form friendships. Like he made a point. And I was saying, when I went to go look, like when I hit up the 70,000 Facebook page thing that I didn't even know existed at first. When I went on that, I went to find Stu when I saw him there, and I was already friends with him because he had Facebook friend me, and I didn't realize. And I was like, I'm friends with that guy.
And Antonio said, as soon as I entered the chat, to what up, Antonio? Said, I'm going to miss seeing that during the show. And that's not anything I ever asked Stu to do, and I'm sure he did it on other channels too. But 100%, I know that helped me grow. That helped, you know, get people a little bit more, you know, just like you said, Ron, I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. Come in, they leave a question. Maybe they're here for a couple minutes and then they bounce. And I know Stu's interactions with people help people stick around a little bit longer, help that watch time get up a little bit higher, helped me be able to make money from YouTube a little bit faster than maybe I should have. And yeah, Stu's awesome.
Yeah, he was part of what made it a community rather than a channel. Like this is one of those channels that you interact with. Like a lot of channels, like they won't even respond unless you super chat, you know, like and those type of channels in the chat, like those people are only about themselves. You know, like that's the people that are showing up to those channels. Like people show up here because of people like Stu that were actually like, you know, especially during the pandemic, you know, people get lonely and shit. You know, like it's like a form of human contact that you can do by yourself in your house. You know, that's how I got hooked with YouTube. Before the pandemic, I didn't even use YouTube. I thought of it as like cats playing piano and shit. Like I didn't even like realize it's like a TV station too. You know, like, and then during the pandemic, and that's how I got involved in the different chats. And again, one of the things that made me stay in this one is that people would like actually chat with me. They would have conversations with me instead of just, you know, like spewing their opinion angrily on top of the next person's opinion that's angrily like typed, you know, that you get on a lot of them.
Yeah, and I know like one thing that Stu used to have fun on, like, man, in I mean, in both years, I mean, when things start getting crazy and we start getting mid-season and everyone's looking for, you know, more questions to be answered, like people would have like over like a 45-minute wait time before you got your question answered. And that's literally me reading a question, giving an answer, reading a question, giving an answer. Stu would be in the chat answering questions, you know, and and just like taking it upon himself to like ask questions or answer questions. And he was always trying to help. Like that's something about him.
Yeah, we would have a full like thing before you got to it in the chat. We would have like a full debate on it. That's what the chat should be doing. Like, and then you bring it up on screen and we talk about it. But like, so while you can't get to that person's still getting their question answered. It might not be you, but you know, they're still getting their opinion in case they can't stay till you get to the screen. Like,
yep. And Antonio said, I used to be in the fantasy flock and thought this channel sucks. This guy doesn't even answer.
Oh my God, I hate that guy.
Got to find another one.
And Huss has got a much better hat.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, he talked about that hat so much. Oh my God. I hate that guy.
And Antonio said, so happy I stumbled onto this page by accident. Yeah, bro. 2020. That was a big year where a lot of you guys found me and been sticking around ever since. And yeah, now that's going to be my mission, is to go back and see what week Stu found me in year one. Because I know it was super early. It was definitely really early. And I know he was one of the first people that joined the 420 crew on YouTube when I was actually able to have like members, you know, sign up. And I mean, as a member, you have to pay a monthly fee. And but he wanted to be like the first one, to sign up. And one of the cool things about it was all those emojis that I created, all the 420 custom emojis that are not found on any other channel besides this. He loved using those emojis. He told me multiple times that this is so cool. Because he's living that cannabis lifestyle like all of us. Or most of us, because I know all you guys watching might not be. Yeah, Bogey said he had to go. He said, my bad, kids are waking up. Yeah, we've been on this one for a little bit, and we're going to wrap it up here real soon. But yeah, Ron, you were another one who, because he heard you talking about the orphan teams, and so when he was talking to me about, some people taking over his team, you were one of those people that were on the short list.
His one of his last things was to get you guys to get me in a IDP league.
well, I mean, it wasn't like that necessarily, but I mean, it was pretty much like him calling me with like a will reading for like his fantasy football teams. Like it was super, super important.
Yeah, that would be an awesome way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he had there was 4.
And again, like we're natural enemies too, and we got along great.
Eagles and Cowboys, hell yeah.
Eagles and Cowboys do not like each other. Like,
but yeah, so there was 4 people that he gave me, and there's 4 teams, and yeah, so I'll let you guys know which ones. Obviously, it'll be leagues that. Well, Ron, you're not in any leagues, but Hess, it'll obviously be a league you're not in with Stu already, and yeah, he already paid for them and everything, and like I think that this fantasy teams meant more than a lot of his actual possessions because he was super like serious, about it when we were talking.
And then as an extra little, I'll have to keep all the Cowboy players too.
Well, I mean, you're not going to.
Like, am I really going to get rid of the Cowboy players on Stu? So I just have to keep Cowboy players.
Well, you're not going to drop CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott, anyways. But there was, it was so funny. Like, I always give Stu shit about his Cowboy players, and one of the last times that I was giving him some shit about a player was is Sam Williams. Okay. Like first off, I didn't even know who Sam Williams was when he brings him up to me, and he calls me in a panic. And he's like, "Bro," he was like, "Man, like what's going on? Like this trade went through, and it was supposed to go through, but the draft ended, and like all this shit. And I was gonna use my last pick to get Sam Williams, and I was like, who the fuck is Sam Williams? Like, I was like, just go pick him up as a free agent. Like, I'm sure nobody else besides you knows who the fuck he is."
I've never heard of this person.
But yeah, so I think on every team, Stu has Sam Williams and thinks that he's going to be something in the NFL. So yeah,
who is that? Is it
He's probably a rookie on the Cowboys.
Rookie on the Cowboys, defensive end.
Yeah.
Oh, defense.
Yeah. So he's not going to start
a rookie. If there's a rookie towards the end, like if you're in every draft, right? If you're like towards the 40s already, that's where he's going. So you don't have to worry he's grabbing your guy unless your guy is some obscure rookie on the Cowboys.
That's awesome too. That the last season was like one where Dallas's defense was better than it's ever been. Like in my memory, and they really weren't supposed to be. Like they have a lot of holes in that defense, and it was just like this magical D year where they kept getting turnovers, and like their offense was dictating the defense to play different against them than they had been in the past, and it was giving them a chance to make plays because they were playing it like safer because they weren't as afraid of Dak like scoring, and it was just it all like fell into this like really. I mean, even I had Dallas as my defense on all my fantasy teams. like I'm like,
everyone thought that they were going to step like usual, and they were a free agent in every league. And so Bongs a lot says R.I.P. with the bong rip.
Bongs a lot.
And Anthony said, I was about to pick up Sam Williams in our league. And he said, funny you said that. I picked someone else, though. And he said, I think Stu was talking to me. And yeah, Antonio said Micah Parsons and Diggs killed it last year. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Micah Parsons, like, he wasn't supposed to drop to where he dropped. Like that was another thing. Like he probably should have went over at least one of those cornerbacks that got picked. But yeah, ended up falling to the Cowboys.
Diggs is due for a real big negative regression.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
that man gets beat all the time. Because he jumps routes to make plays, but Parsons is legit.
And there you go. David P says, "Don't worry, Ron. I'll keep the Eagles' hatred going." And I know that we have a bunch of Cowboy fans like on the show, and of course, like a lot of it's due to Stu being in the chat, being the Cowboy guy. And I'm still gonna give Cowboy fans a lot of shit, but now you guys are gonna get some passes though because of Stu, because Stu's just my connection to the Cowboys, like over everybody.
See,
else.
I don't mind a Cowboy fan from Dallas because that's their team. I mind a Cowboys fan in Philadelphia. That I'm like, what are you doing? Like, like that. I'm not. But Stu, you gotta respect people that like their home team.
Definitely.
Even if it is the Cowboys.
And it was funny. Like the funny thing about Stu was like he knows real football. He knows fantasy football. There's a bunch of fantasy analysts that know real football, but then there's a bunch who like don't even really watch games, don't know too much. And it's funny because he always like treated me like I didn't know about real football because I didn't have a team that I was diehard passionate about. And I was like, just because the Chargers are scumbag, like owner's a scumbag, and they left for LA, and now I don't cheer for a fucking actual team. Like, don't hold that against me as like knowing actual football knowledge. So I always had to remind him about that because I wasn't as diehard as you guys about repping your squads. And Antonio says, I'm a Jets fan, but been rooting for the Cowboys also for Stu. Hell yeah. Yeah, their defense finally awakened. Yes, sir. All right. We're going to do a mock draft today. I'm going to get the link and I'm going to throw it in the chat just in case anybody watching wants to get in it. And this time, we're doing a super flex. And we're still going to be a redraft, but it's going to be a little bit closer to like the dynasty leagues that we have going down right now. So super flex mock, and then we'll get some IDP, and we'll get some tight end premium stuff going. Because there's going to be a handful of these redraft leagues that I do that are going to have tight end premium. Let me see. Oh, and add the tight end spot back because I forgot to do that last time. All right. Link is in the chat. Go choose the spot. We're gonna start. About 2:00 West Coast time. So that's gonna be 5:00 Eastern time, just like Ron likes it. West Coast first.
It's not how I like it. There's a system in place already.
No, I know it. I know it irks you, so I like to do it. I like to do it all the time. Sir Bongslot said on lunch or I'd go. No problem. I mean, we're getting so. Let me see. Where are you at? You're in Chicago. What's that for you? 4:00. So if you're off around 4:00, you could go ahead and join. Because that's when we're going to be starting this mock. All right. Antonio said, "I got
we'll take all the Cowboys play."
Yeah, and there we go. Antonio said, "Got the number 1 pick, and I'm getting Dak." There we go for Stu. Yeah, if you play in a league with Stu, you may have to draft Dak that high if you don't want Stu to get him. All right, one more bowl. I'm gonna get up out of here. All right, Crispy joined. Nice. Got to send the link to Raiders for Life. He was asking about that a little bit earlier.
I'm afraid to pop a link on my computer. It'll like freeze the stream.
Yeah, you can wait till we get done. We're gonna be out of here so quick. And another shout out to Stu. We're going to be thinking about you, man. I know you're watching up there. We know you're walking around and talking to Tom Landry, telling him thanks for all the Super Bowl championships.
Roger Staubach.
Yeah. And David P said Dak is great for fantasy. He's got to get I mean, it's their defense that made him not as great for fantasy last year.
Right.
That's really what it was. And Sir Bong's
And he was hobbled.
Sir Bong's a lot said 4 p.m. Central. Yep, 4 p.m. Central, starting at 2 West Coast time. So yeah, if you're gonna be off by then, yeah, you could join. You could join in the mock, and be starting around 4 Central. And you know, in stoner fashion, always a few minutes late, but
see, it could be worse. I could be Central. No one even says that one.
Right? Yeah, it's because it's so long. You got to.
Those people have to figure out with math. They have to.
Yeah. 5 Eastern, 4 Central, what is it? 3 Mountain Time, 2 Pacific Time.
I've literally never seen someone list Mountain Time. Like I know it exists, but I've never seen anyone like put it on something.
Yeah, 1 Alaska time. We might have to throw that out there. And I don't know if Hawaii's 2 or 3 hours behind because they don't have daylight savings time. So they're like Arizona, where half the year they're 3 hours behind us, and then the other half they're 2 years behind us.
You know, that's ending next year.
What?
That's ending next year.
What? Daylight
savings.
Oh.
Well, it's not ending, it's permanent. So we'll never put our clocks back. So we'll get the extra light, and then we'll stop switching. It's going to be the last time we switch, and we're just going to keep it. So Arizona's going to have to come on board now. They're going to have to come forward an hour.
Well, no, but everybody's so that'll be the time when it switches, when they go ahead an hour, right?
Right, because they never change. So we're all going to change forever. So now they have to do it one time to come to the rest of us, or they'll be off an hour.
Everyone would change it back, right? Like,
no, I'm saying, but that's not what they're doing. They're not having everyone change it back. They're just staying. They're keeping it forever. They're not like it. It's going to be the one that they change for the farmers, the one that gives you more light.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, my time is on my phone, so as long as my phone has the correct time, everything else will be updated.
That's what I only look at computers and phones for time, so it just adjusts for me. Like one day, I'm like, man, I felt like I slept longer last night.
And then you find out, oh, it's daylight savings time. I had that extra hour.
If the farmers got more light, and that equals better crops. That makes me happy.
Hell yeah. And Antonio said 11 p.m. Italy time. We like it. And Mike said, smoke them if you got them. Let's get it. And another one in honor for Stew.
Let's do it for Stew.
And everybody, do me a favor. I know everyone's leaving live chats about Stew and, the comments and everything. But after the live stream, people aren't really going to be paying attention to that live chat. Everyone do me a favor and leave an actual comment, with some words about Stew and RIP, anything, because his family's like sharing this like amongst them. So, it'd be good if we had a shit ton of comments in there. Everybody, wishing him well and just everything, this is his send-off video, for us. We're still going to be talking about him a bunch, but we know a lot of people will be yeah, there you go. Exactly. Whew. All right.
And then there's a permanent record of it too,
Yeah.
Well, unless you take the video down, but you won't.
Right. I'm not going to take it down. No reason to. But yeah, so we want to keep this going. This will at least be one video where maybe we can look back and, we'll see the stories and reminisce. And we're going to remember Stew. He's not going anywhere. We got the Dream to Walk League that we're going to be, having every single year after this until we don't play fantasy football. And I think I'm going to be playing fantasy football until the day that I die. So I think that'll be going on forever. We'll have more than one way to honor Stew, that's for sure. All right, any final words before we get out of here, gentlemen?
How about them Cowboys?
Rest in
Hell
peace.
yeah. Rest in peace, Stew. We know you're watching. We know you're walking up there, brother. We'll see you later. Peace.
Ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile. Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
VIP me put in my pocket, it don't make sense, but don't make a profit. It's all a hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, 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 money.
Called out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find the things in my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me, no, it ain't over for me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go, money talk.
Here comes the money.
Show me the money!
Okay, let's go smoke that joint.